If we look back in history at the original geological model for Modder East, it was always understood that there was a high grade inner core with a lower grade sort of outer aurora around it. And based on the economics of the project at the time, it was always decided that the bulk of the mining would come out of the inner core, and it was targeted at about 70 to 90,000 tonnes a month. And the target was about just over 1 million ounces of gold and a life of mine of about 9 years, after which the operation would have closed down. Since then, a lot of work has been done on looking at ways to reduce the pay limit, and on ways to also go and increase the percentage mineability underground by being able to replace support pillars with grout packs instead. This has meant that we are now in a position to mine a lot more of the lower grade portion of the ore body than was ever planned. So we basically last week produced our 1,000,000th ounce of gold as per the original plan. However, in order to be able to mine those lower grade resources and continue the operation of the mine, we had to expand the plant capacity, because in order to mine lower grade, you need to be able to mine higher volumes to achieve the same economic results. So we are in the process of finalising a project to expand our plant capacity from the original 90,000 tonnes a month up to about 120, 130,000 tonnes a month. That project is almost reaching conclusion. The commissioning phase will start in early January. We're just doing the final bits and pieces of construction. And then, as I said, we will be targeting 120,000 tonnes a month. We are already in a build-up phase from underground, and we have pushed our underground production volumes already from where we were running at about 4,000 tonnes a day. We're now averaging about 5,000 tonnes a day, which is in preparation for the commissioning, obviously at that higher volumes. And the whole project was basically, it was a budget of about 106 million rand, and we're running just underneath that budget, and we anticipate being about 6 million rand under our original budget. The expansion itself will not generate additional jobs, but as I said, the original plan was that the mine would actually shut next year. So what this expansion is doing is, because we can now mine the lower grade resources, our life of mine has now been extended by probably by another 8 to 10 years, which means that our current 2,400 employees have now got another 8 to 10 years worth of employment, which potentially they would not have had. Plus, obviously, there's all the investment. We've invested 100 million into this project. 90% of it has gone into the South African economy. It means that Gold One Modder East operation will continue to generate taxes on an annual basis. We've already put into the economy about 1.2 billion rands worth of taxes and royalties, and obviously if we're going to operate for another 10 years or 8 to 10 years, we're probably going to be able to double that over the life of the mine. It also means obviously that the mine is extending. We need to extend our social and labour plan. We've just finished the first or the second 5 years. We're now in the process of applying for the third 5 years of our social and labour plan, which obviously means in there's a whole load of things that go into the community in the form of training and development, skills. There's various projects for different constructions to be done in the community. So obviously the longer the mine is here, the longer it benefits our employees, but also it benefits the bigger community and obviously the families, etc. of our employees. There's still low-grade black reef left. There's also UK9 reef, which we are starting to mine now quite extensively. We've also identified some of the other Kimberley reefs, the UK3s and the UK5s, which are lower grade, but if you can mine it at the right efficiencies, mechanised mining where your cost per tonne can be a lot lower, then those also become fillers for this plant. That is basically on the Modder East ore body, but the greater East Rand Basin, although it's currently flooded to a certain level below surface, there are still huge resources available. We are currently in discussions with the Department of Water and Sanitation, who have a pumping facility at Grootvlei 3 shaft, to look at whether it's possible for us to assist with funding to allow them to lower the basin even further, which will then basically expose a lot of additional resources in other areas around springs. We have about 4 projects that we're looking at currently that would be targeting those resources. One of them is in a basically it's been taken to a definitive feasibility study level. It's still positive, and we basically need to present that to our board of directors to try and get approval to start construction, and that is a 400-500 million rand project, and it's got about an 8 to 10 year life. There are much bigger projects potentially, the Consmodder Basin and the what we call the down dip extension of the old Grootvlei mine. Those are much bigger, longer term projects, and they require that the basin be dewatered quite significantly. But as I said, we are in discussions with DWS. We've done initial concept studies on those projects. They're all very positive. They show very good potential. Obviously, we now need to start taking those through the phases of project study to get it into a more detailed level up to a bankable feasibility study. But those projects would be looked at hopefully to start coming into construction and production as the Modder East ore body starts to really run out of resources completely. But then those projects could be brought in to then continue filling this plant, because obviously, as I said previously, this mill has already had a previous life of about 24 years where it milled 25 million tonnes. It's completely refurbished. It's capable of operating for another 20 to 25 years as it is now. So we really need to use that as the leapfrog, if you like, for the additional projects around the basin. Because one of the major costs of starting up any mining operation is a plant. We have got a plant, we just need to find the projects to continue to fill that plant and make use of that infrastructure for as long as possible. And obviously those projects, to a certain extent, they would use existing Modder East employees as things wound down here, but they are potentially of a significant size that they would require new employees to be brought in from the community. So those would be genuine additional labour potential, additional employees coming from mainly from the East Rand area. And that is also something that we are having a lot of discussions with the municipality and the government institutions to try and get their support and commitment as we would like to participate in, you know, continuing to improve conditions on the East Rand area, which is obviously, it used to be a major mining area, but things have really sort of quietened down now for the last 10 years, other than basically Modder East operation.